Hey guys, so this is a video I've been wanting to do for a while now. This is the iPad Pro review. If you follow my channel, you know I've switched to this in the last 6 or 7 months from a traditional sketchbook and drawing pencil. All my artwork has been done on this. And I also, just as a background in where this review is coming from, I have a Wacom Cintiq 21UX digital drawing monitor. So I use that with my PC, and I'll get into why I use this and have completely stopped using that as well. Some of the stuff I've produced on this thing, here's some art prints. This is a Darth Ray 13 by 19. Here is another one. This is like a fantasy illustration, 13 by 19. And I'm printing these myself. So these are kind of fun art prints that I'm producing on this thing. I feel like it's important to, when you're doing digital work, is to print that stuff out so you have a nice tangible piece of artwork that you can look at or sell when you're done. Right now I have it in the case, which looks like this, and that'll cost you, I'll get into pricing a little bit, extra $100. I don't ever use this thing, but it's nice for when I'm carrying it around because I carry this thing everywhere with me. The front part of this just detaches, and this is how I actually use it. That's about how thin it is. This is the 12.9 inch, 512 gig. I think it's $1150 for this iPad. So yeah, that's the specs on it. It's a good size for drawing. For me, being able to carry it around with me, take it to my lunch and stuff like that, I feel like this is a great size. It feels good in my hands. I'll sit on the couch and hold it like this in one hand and sketch. I'll turn it vertical, do some of my sketches that way. So yeah, I feel like the size is a really good size. So I'm going to talk a little bit about how I use this. Like I said, I came from a traditional sketchbook. This is my digital sketchbook, essentially. I sit down, I open the app, and I draw. This is the iPad pen or Apple pen. This thing costs another $100, so you're looking at $1250 for everything, and then another $100, so $1350 with the protective like keypad and stuff. So it's definitely not cheap, but in my opinion, because my Cintiq, that 21UX that I have, cost me $2,000, and I rarely use that anymore. I use this, but that's just because of convenience and a lot of things that this thing allows me to do. And I've gotten a million times, I should say, I've gotten a million times better at digital art because of this, because of being able to take it with me and draw on the go. Wherever I'm at, and I use it a lot. I use it a ton, which is the biggest reason I love this thing. My Cintiq, I would use sparingly, maybe once in a great while. I do graphic design stuff on it, which I'll get into the graphic design side of this stuff in a little bit, but I use this constantly, so it's really helped me improve. So that's a great benefit right there. So it's about, as with all Apple stuff, I mean, this thing's pretty dang solid. I've never really dropped it or anything like that, but it's decently heavy. I mean, it's got a good weight to it, but as far as how long I feel like this thing is gonna last, I've never had an issue with it. I don't have to worry about getting viruses or anything like that. So as far as durability goes, it's definitely, I feel like, gonna last me a long time. And like I said, I take it everywhere with me, and I've never had a scratch or anything on it. And I think the protective thing helps with that. As far as the iPad, I'll get into the Procreate and the software in a sec, but as far as the iPad, the only limit I see in this thing, and it's a pretty big limit. It was something where I was like, I don't know if I want this, and that is the fact that it doesn't run the Adobe suite. So Illustrator, InDesign, Photoshop, you can't do all this. Or you can't use that stuff on here, and I'm a graphic designer, and it would be really nice if I were out and about and I needed to get some design work done real quick. I've had that happen a few times. I can't use this. I don't use it for graphic design at all. This is very one-dimensional for me. It is my digital sketchbook. So that is a huge limiting factor. The other thing that I do notice is the battery life. If I charge it overnight and I draw on it all day, drawing on it, and the battery does go down fairly quickly. I want to say, I don't know if it depends on the drawing I'm doing or how much I'm using it for illustration, but I want to say I get 8 hours out of it, maybe less. But it's definitely something I notice. I always have to remember to charge it. Otherwise, that can be a very frustrating factor. Because if I'm sitting there at 20% up here and I'm drawing on something and then the iPad dies, it's really frustrating. And I have to basically quit and let it charge for a good amount of time before I can start drawing again. Especially if I'm not near an outlet where I can leave it plugged in while I'm drawing. Now, if I am, then it's not so much of a big deal. But even then, it can be a little bit frustrating. So those are the limiting factors of this. But overall, the iPad, I absolutely love it for the reasons that I just specified. The fact that I use it all the time. Anything you buy that you spend this much money on, you want it to feel like you're getting your money's worth. And I definitely do with this thing. I use it all the time. And I would say my kids use it. They draw on it. My wife draws on it all the time. You can see, I'll go to the gallery real quick. We've got all kinds of stuff I've done on it, but my wife's drawings are on here. My girls' drawings are on here. They draw, my littlest girl even draws all kinds of crazy Jackson Pollock type stuff on here. So we all use this thing, and it has been well worth the money in my opinion. So having said that, as far as talking about the iPad side of things, it's an amazing thing. The limiting factors, if you're going to use this thing for graphic design and you use the Adobe Suite, yeah, it's probably not going to be the greatest thing for you. So now I want to talk about Procreate, and this will also be tied into the iPad as well. But so there's the little emblem for Procreate down here, and I'm going to pop open. This one's a pretty large piece. This is an illustration I did. You can get super close in, as you can see, to do some really tight work on this. So as far as the drawing surface, I mean, you can get as tight as you want. I feel like it's a good size. But Procreate, why I love this program so much versus some of the other stuff I tried on the Surface Pro, because I did try the Surface Pro and the Surface Book. Both of those are great devices, and I thought about getting one only because of the graphic design side of things. But when it comes to drawing, let me open a fresh sheet real quick. I use those in the store, and I've heard it's because they're the demo versions or whatever and things like that. But there was a lag. So like when I make my mark on some of those, I would have a delay. See this? You see the mark perfectly following the pen on this thing? Well, with the Surface, I would go like this, and the line would be catching up to my pen. And that's a deal breaker for me for drawing. I thought that was horrible, and I just couldn't handle it. So when I drew on this thing, I was like, oh my gosh, this is so natural. And a big part of that is the apps. The Procreate app is my favorite by far. I've heard other people like some of the other ones, and I'm sure there's apps for all different kinds of uses, but it's everything I've used. I've done some really complex illustrations with some photo bashing and stuff like that. So I'm putting in photos, manipulating them, and then just drawing from scratch type stuff like my turtle drawings. These ones down here are all drawn from scratch, just sitting down in front of my iPad and drawing. And it is so much fun. So Procreate is just a very intuitive, sit down with your digital sketchbook and draw. And that's why I love it so much. It's so enjoyable to use. Once you get into it, it seems very simple. Procreate does at first, like it feels like there's limitations versus what maybe Photoshop has and things like that. And there definitely are, but once you learn how to use the selection tools, like how you select parts of your character. So let's say I just select him and I want to just add light to like where his head stops. I mean, there's easy ways to do all of that. So you can just do select, and it's only selected where your marker or your paint is at. So let's select a real light color real quick, like this, like a white yellow. And then I'm gonna make my brush pretty big, and this is not the brush I would use for this, but so you can see how it's just lightening up the edge. So you can add lighting so easily to this thing. And that's, I would like to say that one of the things I've improved vastly on with all this stuff is my ability to have very strong light sources, something that I had never worked on before. So, I mean, there's a lot of areas that I feel like I've improved on in art because of using this. But that's just one tool that you can use there. I mean, the flexibility of Procreate, I feel like, is pretty dang good. I feel like I've never really come into a situation where I felt like I wanted to do something and couldn't because of the app. You do have all these different types of brushes. Now I know Photoshop, you can get all different kinds of custom brushes, stuff like that. And you can do that too with this. You have, let's see, you just select this. You have all different kinds of settings for your brushes, so you can get very detailed with the type of brushes you create with Procreate as well. Let me show you how a drawing starts for me. I'm gonna go to my videos. That's one other really cool thing about Procreate is it films on its own while you're drawing. So we're gonna go over here, and this is the Donatello drawing you saw in Procreate, and you just do an export your drawing as a video thing, and it gives you a few options. This is a 30-second clip. Now with this drawing, I actually I did a different version of this, and I didn't like how it turned out. So you can kind of see, like, I'm just drawing from scratch. This is all just pen strokes with this, different paint brushes, and you can kind of see it come together super quickly here. And I actually didn't like this pose. I didn't like it. I spent way too much time working on it and decided to completely scrap it and go with a different look. So eventually I ended up coming to this one, which I liked a lot. So, and there you have it. That was one of the videos that I exported, and I'll show you how easy it is to do. Let's open, where'd those turtles go? Let's open Raphael. Now if I want to export this video, I just go up here and video, export time-lapse video right here, and it asks me full length or 30 seconds, and I can say 30 seconds, which I've already exported. And so that's a super awesome option for sharing your artwork with people and things like that. So yeah, so that's pretty much it. I'm not going to get into the details of Procreate right now in this video. This is kind of an overall, like, why I like the iPad Pro, why I like Procreate, and how I'm just improving and enjoying the drawing because of this thing. So I guess in conclusion, would I recommend this to someone, or why I would recommend it to someone? If you're really wanting to get better at digital art, and you know, that's your primary focus, this is an awesome device. If you think you can use it the way I've been using it, it's in your hands all the time. You want to sit down and draw, you just pick it up and you draw on it, as long as it's charged, right? And so I would say for that type of person, this thing is amazing, super great. Now, do I think the Surface Pro might be a little bit better if you're like trying to do graphic design and things like that? I do. Only because, like I said, I don't use this for graphic design. I don't even think I can handle doing it. But I know a Surface Pro, the ones I've looked at, when it comes to that kind of stuff, having the full capability of Adobe products, that might be a game changer for me. But for what I use this thing for, it is amazing. I will give it, for what I use it for, like I said, drawing having it in my hands all the time, working on illustrations and producing finished illustrations that I'm really, really happy with. This is 10 out of 10 stars. It's amazing. So anyway, I hope that gives you guys some information about this and what I've been using. I've got so much stuff, so many videos that I've exported on here. I've been producing so much artwork, and a lot of it is due to this thing. I haven't been uploading videos. I'm sure you guys have noticed, and that's just life stuff getting in the way. I keep bouncing out of it, and I'm really sorry for that. It's just sometimes life gets super busy, and I don't know. It's something I'm really wanting to fix, like try and get in a routine to where I can upload more often, because I have the content, and I'm thinking you guys want to, go on this journey with me for sure, because I know a lot of you are like, well, we like your pencil stuff better than your digital art stuff, but I want to do a video on that as well. Why, for me as a creator, and I see creator instead of an artist, because I do feel like there's a difference in the two, not necessarily a difference, but how you view yourself maybe, and it has a lot to do with the limitations or having no limitations on the things you create. And for me, I just want to be able to create the things that are in my mind, and show them to the world. And this drawing like this and using this iPad, and there's like no limitations for me anymore. I mean, I'm limited by my skill, but if I can imagine it, then this thing allows me to do it, and that's why I love it. So I know this is a really long-winded video, and there's probably not very many of you left at this point, because I do feel like I've talked forever. But I don't know, I just wanted to put more time in, be a little bit more thorough on what I was talking about. These drawings, that's another shift that's happened, is I've been spending a lot more time in the drawings. I used to, with my sketchbook, maybe spend an hour to 2 hours on a drawing. Some of these drawings have taken me 10 hours. I mean, some of them are crazy detailed. This is like a robot war illustration that I did. It's loading still, but like you can see all these little soldiers that are in there, and this is more like game art style. I mean, this drawing took me forever. Huge robots kind of coming through this temple area, and I just am really, really, really enjoying creating these worlds. And again, I feel like I wouldn't be sitting here being able to produce this stuff if it weren't for this iPad. So again, thanks for watching the video. I do feel like this thing's worth every penny if you use it the way I do it, and you get a ton of use out of it. Yeah, so thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys later.